Welcome to the Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network.
Well, what is going on, everybody? Welcome everybody into the Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show on the Overreaction Sports Network, powered by the Believe Sports Network, where you can find us on every single podcast network across the nation, probably around the world. Welcome to everybody who is joining us right now live. Appreciate you. Please do us a favor. Please please subscribe, whatever platform you are consuming this vidcast on or podcast. Please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave a comment, leave a note, leave a review, tell a friend, all that good stuff. It is so good to have you guys join us. My name is Joe Miller. That over there sitting next to me is John Fina. You can find me on Twitter, Joe Miller Wired. You can find that guy on Twitter at John Fina. John, my friend, it's hot dog season.
It is hot dog season. Hey, and just like the Overreaction Sports Network, you can get Sahlen's products anywhere. 18 retailers shipping nationwide, potentially globally if you're willing to pay the shipping. So just like the Overreaction Sports Network, if you're in Brazil or Israel or Ireland or Mexico, see if you can get Sahlen's there too. We're happy to have Sahlen's sponsoring the Off Tackle show. And as it's the first show of the upcoming season, what a great announcement. What a great brand. And I mean, I know everyone in Buffalo is celebrating hot dog season. No better way to celebrate that season than Sahlen's hot dogs.
Absolutely. Trusted in Buffalo since 1969. And as John said, now shipping nationwide. Super proud, super glad to be representing Sahlen's products. So, John, I am in Cincinnati, Ohio. I just landed about an hour and a half ago. Just got to my hotel room. And we literally just scalped tickets to the Reds game that's going to start here shortly. So we're going to be heading over to the Reds game, me and one of my coworkers, and we got a big meeting tomorrow. But there's some big news at One Bills Drive. Before we talk about Keon Coleman and his potential effect on the Buffalo Bills as a weapon for Josh Allen, some of the stuff that you saw that you liked, some of the stuff that you saw that maybe you didn't like so much that he needs to work on. News, not out of One Bills Drive, but around One Bills Drive, and a certain running back, James Cook, came out today that he is number 89 on the top 100 NFL players list. Also on the executive and coaches list, he is the number 8 running back in the NFL coming into 2025. Thoughts on that?
Well, I guess the first thing I would say is what's the 8th running back make last year? And maybe that's the offer that James Cook should accept. Well, I think it's all fun and good, right? 89th out of 100. That's, that must feel pretty good for James. Respectable, very respectable. What does it mean in actuality? Virtually nothing, right? If they don't come to an agreement before the season, James is still going to have to come out and, to his credit, I'd like to see him run like the second best running back in the NFL or the number 1 and climb that list from 89 into the top 20 most impactful players this season. And now we're talking. Right now, it's a list, right? I got a grocery list. I might not even buy half the things on it. So, James Cook, congratulations for being acknowledged league-wide. But, it does feel good to get recognized. I remember when I got my first print recognition, I kind of swole up in the chest a little bit and felt pretty good about myself. Joe, what do you think the impact is?
So I don't know about the impact. I mean, you're talking about it clearly bolsters his resume a little bit versus being left off the top 100 players as voted by the NFL players, right? So by his peers, he's voted the 89th best player in the NFL, and that's not position, that's overall, right? And then when the coaches and the executives as well vote you into the top 10, I would, how much does it help the resume? Top 5 probably makes a little bit more of a statement. And when you look at the top 5 on the coaches and executive list, Saquon Barkley, clearly number 1, Derrick Henry, number 2, and you can stop right there as it pertains to guys making $15 million or more, right? That's the list. Those 2 gentlemen right there. Jahmyr Gibbs at number 3, Bijan Robinson, number 4, Christian McCaffrey at number 5 is when healthy. Right,
yep, right.
Christian McCaffrey is one of the most dominant offensive weapons in the NFL that maybe the NFL has ever seen when healthy. But as we all know, and we love to say it in Bills Mafia, availability is the best ability as far as that goes, and he's not always available. Number 6, Josh Jacobs from Green Bay. Number 7, Jonathan Taylor from the Colts. And then James Cook at number 8, which I don't mind. And just to round out the top 10, Joe Mixon at 9, and then Alvin Kamara at number 10. It's a good list. I mean, that's a great list to be a part of. It's a great group of guys to be recognized with. I just don't know that it helps his resume. I don't know that it helps his argument to want $15 million a year. And to be honest with you, John, if he plays out this year and he has a similar year to last year, or is even a little bit better, I feel like that's great. That's great for him. That's great for Buffalo. But I don't know that it still gets him into the $15 million range. Maybe gets him closer. I feel like it's positioning. I don't know there's a world where he even believes he's worth $15 million a year. Do you?
I don't think so, but I also don't think that, he threw out 15 million. I think that's kind of an arbitrary number. Of course, you're going to pick the top. You can always negotiate down from there. So I don't, and again, it's hard to know how far apart Bean and his agent are on actual numbers, but there's something to it, whether it's the amount guaranteed, the length of the contract, incentive clauses, things of that nature, where they could be closer than we all know. There could be a surprise before the season, but I don't believe it will happen, especially with cap space consideration and things of that nature. But, to James' credit, he gets to pin that on his wall, but it's a bar now, right? It's a bar for him. So if you're going to compare yourself against anything, now you've got to compare yourself against that. And one thing that's always been interesting to me is there are a lot of guys who shoot themselves in the foot throughout their careers, maybe a few, shouldn't say a lot, but I think there's a real issue with, there's a greater fear of success than there is failure, because with success comes higher and higher bars of achievement, right? Can you clear that next bar? I don't think James is in that category, but if he's looking at this list, I don't think he feels like he's arrived. I think he sees it as a target.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, I like the way that you put that. You obviously had gone through this before, and that's always the fear as a fan, that you read your newspaper clippings and the press clippings and you're like, oh, I'm the man. Like, look, they're telling me I'm the man. And then you ratchet down a little bit, maybe some of your effort, some of your energy. I'm sure that has happened in the past. We've seen guys, Marcel Darius, sign $100 million contracts and never return to the player that they were the year before they got the $100 million contract. I don't see that with James Cook. I think James Cook is, to your point, I think he's going to see it as like a nice little badge that he can put on his sleeve and he can like pat it really nice. But I feel like this year specifically, he's got some business that he wants to get done. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes this year on, how the Bills use him, if they use him more, if they use him less now with some of the other weapons that they have around him, a healthy Dalton Kincaid. We're going to talk about Keon Coleman possibly stepping up. But before we get to Keon Coleman, one other quick announcement that I'm thinking about right now, July 19th. I believe it's the 19th. Am I correct in that?
You are correct. July 19th.
So is the second, hopefully, annual Mafia Con being put on by 26 Shirts and Del Reed. And John and I will both be there. So we will be there. We're supposed to do this video thing where we say, we'll be there. This is us first telling you that we will be at Mafia Con. John's going to be there. I'm going to be there. We will be podcasting from there. We have one of the later slots, but I'm sure that we'll probably arrive earlier than that to get an opportunity to kind of hang out with you guys, the fans, the Bills fans, and talk football. I'm sure you guys will want to get pictures with John and stuff like that. Real quick, before we talk about Keon, thoughts on coming into Buffalo for this? It was a very cool event last year, John. I wanted you there last year. So
yeah, sorry I couldn't make it, Joe. I keep everything I do. I just keep trying to impress you, and when I fall short, I carry that badge, like a scarlet letter forever. I'm excited to come in. Of course, everybody knows that I'm a huge fan of the city of Buffalo, and what better time to be there during hot dog season. I'll probably get a few Sahlens in me, of course. This is a really cool event, bringing all the podcasters, Buffalo Bills content creators together. And I think if I'm not mistaken, food vendors, food trucks, people selling Bills gear, and
TC will be there. There'll be players there. They'll be signing autographs. There'll be
that's
players
right.
there.
That's right. We'll have some current Buffalo Bills signing autographs. I think if you're a fan, not just of the greatest Overreaction Sports Network podcast ever, but the other podcasters out there who put out some quality content. Even if you don't like them, you can come see Joe and I. You can come down and see about some trading cards or some, get geared up and Bills stuff. I mean, it should be a great time. Joe, where's it located? Tell everybody.
Seneca One Tower. So it'll be right down, I believe, in the main lobby of the Seneca One Tower, which is the old, the Marine Midland building. It's now the M&T building, but yeah, I think at one point it was the HSBC building. So it's been a number of different buildings. It's the biggest building in Buffalo. You can't miss it. So if you've been to Buffalo before, if you're from Buffalo, just head towards the tallest building in Buffalo. It's in the lobby. It's going to be great. There will be audio this year in the foyer, or in the lobby, I should say. So those during the podcast, you'll be able to hear what they're actually talking about. Last year, it wasn't that way. So that's an improvement over last year. So I'm really, really excited. And I'm excited that you're going to be there as well. So come down and see John and I at MafiaCon, as well as a slew of other things going on. If you Google it, MafiaCon 2025, I'm sure you'll be able to find the website. I probably should have prepared and had it up, but I wasn't thinking about it before this. But anyway. So, the first show of the 2025 season as it pertains to football here on the Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show. And John, we're going to talk about Keon Coleman. As we were kind of just dialoguing as far as what we wanted to talk about with this first episode, there's an aspect of we know we've got a known commodity in Khalil Shakir, and the Buffalo Bills rewarded Khalil Shakir for kind of that known commodity that he is. We hope that Dalton Kincaid is going to be healthy this year, and he's going to take that step that we didn't get to see last year because of his injury that he had, PCL injury, if I'm not mistaken. You know what you've got in James Cook. You know what you've got in old reliable Dawson Knox, which is even funny to say old reliable, like that he's been around long enough to call him old reliable. But Curtis Samuel is a guy that if he can stay healthy, he's going to flash. But I think the big question that we wanted to talk about is what kind of an impact can Keon Coleman make this year? And is he a building block for the future of this Buffalo Bills franchise coming into his second year as a rookie last year? And I know you've got some film. Would love to hear just some of your thoughts, then we can get into some of the breakdowns.
Yeah, we'll jump into the film in a minute. I think, for me, my expectations of Keon Coleman, I think were reasonable, right? Second round pick, early second round. I think a lot of people had a greater expectation for what he would deliver on the field last season. And I think when you consider the way McDermott utilizes rookies historically, I already knew there wouldn't be a great impact by Keon. He wasn't a guy like Xavier Worthy where he filled a specific role where they could build around him specific plays. Mm-hmm. Keon Coleman was a building block needed to acquire to round out the wide receiver room with a young, strong talent, a guy who's coachable, who seems to be humble enough, who is going to work hard enough. But in no way, shape, or form was he a made player upon arrival last August or July, right? July or August. His numbers, I thought, were actually fair. He did have the injury that kept him out of either 3 or 4 games, I don't recall. But 29 receptions, 556 yards. What I think was really interesting about that is a 19.2 yard average per catch. Right. So to me, that shows a little bit of the growth and trust that they put in him when they started putting him on the field. I think the injury might have been a little bit of a psychological change for him because the back half of the year after returning from the injury wasn't nearly as effective. And there are just a number of things when you're filling a role like that, just the leap from college cornerbacks and safeties to the pros is significant.
Right.
So he struggled at times with getting on blocks, with creating space. But as you saw, especially with Dalton Kincaid, they've been working hard. They've been getting stronger. They've been getting smarter. And part of all that is film study and understanding how I can better fulfill my role every play rather than I'm on the right side of the formation, which is where the first reads are coming. I'm not on the backside, and making sure that you're doing all the right things, understanding how Josh plays. So there's a number of things. I only chose one game to go through because it was earlier in the season. Keon had a number of catches, I think 4 or 5, and I was able to see a little bit of what he was lacking and what he was doing well.
Love it.
What's interesting is a typical McDermott process. So we didn't really see Keon Coleman in the first half of that game very much at all. And then at the end of the third quarter, that game was tied 20-20. And your instincts would tell you, take the rookie out, right? Get somebody a little bit more seasoned, a little bit more savvy with the offense. But they kept him in, and he made some impactful plays. I want to start with some, maybe not as great stuff that he just needs to do better, understanding the speed of the game, leverage, and angles. So I'm going to bring up this particular play, and if I can remember how to do this, and I can, look at that.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute, right? So what we have here is what's kind of like a flat screen or a bubble pass. And Keon's job, and he's at the top of the screen right now, is to really jump on that cornerback, leverage him, maintain contact, and hold the block. And what you'll see is on the snap of the ball, he really gets out leveraged right away, right from the beginning. He just doesn't take a flat enough angle. And you can see at the snap, he should be heading to the inside shoulder of that corner because the corner is coming in. And we can't mince words here. He's just not physical enough. He's got to be more aggressive.
Which is interesting because as a basketball player, which he is, that's something that should come, right? Is it almost am I big enough to play this game? Is it kind of like that mentality he has to prove to himself, which he may have throughout the course of the year, like gain that confidence of like, no, I can play at this level?
I don't think so. I think he's got enough confidence. I think the issue is sometimes you're just suddenly surprised by the speed of the game.
Gotcha.
And that definitely happens here on the snap of the ball. You can see the corner is coming for inside leverage. He sees the screen developing from the slot receiver, who I believe is Amari Cooper. And right now he should be on the inside shoulder. He should be fitting up, his hands on the breastplate, chopping his feet, ready to engage, affect the cornerback, and then release when the cornerback disengages so he doesn't get the holding penalty.
Gotcha.
So not a great job here. Wasn't a play killer, but this is one of those, holy cow, I'm at a different level now with different quality cornerbacks.
Gotcha. Very good.
I did enjoy that play. And what's nice about that, and I didn't pick it, later in the game, he had some self-learning where he was actually on the backside of a running play, and he dug into the cornerback and did exactly what I described. So consistency is really what you're aiming for, right?
Very cool. That's awesome.
This one is kind of understand your quarterback. Understand you got Josh Allen, and recognize that when Josh is on the move, you need to do all the right things to stay alive, stay open. But beyond that, separate yourself from your teammates, right? You don't want one defender with the ability to cover two. So here's Keon Coleman on the backside. He's going to run about a 10-yard drag. He gets bumped a little bit by the corner. But what he should be seeing right now, and I think it's Dawson Knox, I can't tell, at about the 15-yard line, that route was shortened by the defender. So what Keon should be doing right now, because Josh is on the move, he should be sitting at the 20. He can't provide any more depth and run into the next DB. So you see he gets to about the 23-yard line. We got two receivers right next to each other. Now, Josh, if you look to the right of your screen, he wants to make something happen. If Keon sits at the 20 or the 19, if he flattens us out in time, then as we've seen Josh do a number of times, we all hold our heart in our hands, right? Throws across the field. Keon could be receiving that ball right around the hash mark at the 20 and, could be taking that in for a score. So he bunches up a little bit. He doesn't flatten out at the beginning when he first gets bumped by this corner. Right now, flatten, stay flat, sit, reverse your field.
It's funny because of the last 2 or 3 years, we've heard that phrase a lot. And I think it started with Dan Orlovsky talking about receivers flattening their routes. I don't remember 20 years ago, 10 years ago, hearing analysts talk about receivers flattening their routes and coming down the line. Why has that become such a big thing recently where it's something that so many people are talking about? Just curious.
Well, in this instance, it's really two things. When you're flat, you put the DB on your hip. When you go at an angle, you give that DB an opportunity to accelerate, reach across, tip a ball out of play. So when you flatten, you put him behind you. And the second reason is if you look at the receiver at the 21-yard line, he's getting jammed pretty good. Now that route is probably supposed to go to about the 15 before it's a stop or an out. So when Keon sees this, he's got to recognize that he can't keep gaining depth because he's just going to run into his teammate. And that's bad news, right? Mm-hmm. One guy covering two, tip ball up in the air, INT. No Buffalo Bills fan wants to see that.
Right. No.
And sure. Josh is out here. He's off the screen right now. But if you see Josh rolling out, he wants to make something happen, as Josh does. He's got the defender flanked, right? Keon just put the brakes on. Didn't hurt the play, but what we're talking about, Joe, is when will that play matter?
Yeah.
When will that learning kick in? You come out of your break, the corner of your eye, you see, oh my God, my other guy got held up. Josh is in duress. Maybe I should sit.
Good stuff.
All right, let's talk. I'm not banging on Keon because I'm a fan, and I think he's going to be a hell of a player for us. I chose this particular clip because the game was undecided at the time, and we needed a first down. We were in a situation where it's 3rd and short. We got to get the slant off. We got to get it to a playmaker. We got to get that reception, fall forward for the first down. And the fact that late in the game against the Jets, tied up, they decided they go to Keon, I think is a great deal. But what I want you to look at on this is watch his hips. So when he releases and creates the space and the ball's coming, he flips his hips upfield. And that matters for a number of reasons. This tackle could be missed and you're off to the races. But number two, if the tackle isn't missed and you're too flat, you might not get the first down. So we'll stop it right there. See him already, he's already headed upfield. He could be flattening this thing out to the 45-yard line and get tackled right there. He flips his hips upfield and he's got momentum going that direction. The defender is more or less even with him, but he's facing you and I. So with his hips upfield, there's a chance of a missed tackle here. Didn't quite happen, but he ends up gaining 6 more yards out of it just by virtue of the fact that as the ball's released, he's flipped his hips upfield. That's good stuff.
He run. So obviously the criticism, looking at this play, the criticism of Keon Coleman has been, since we drafted him, his ability to separate. He's not the fastest receiver, and fast doesn't necessarily equate into verticality. Gabe Davis was not the fastest receiver, but he could get vertical. Fastest receiver does also not equate to quickness in a route. What's interesting about this, if you back it up, is he's running a slant. He was successful, but his angle of the slant is strange here to me. He comes down the 40-yard line, then starts his slant, almost to provide himself that extra hip space, right? Is that weird or is that design, you think?
Well, I think against that coverage, right? Because it's pretty much press on the line of scrimmage.
Right.
If you engage the cornerback before you make your cut inside,
you're done.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to delay everything. This ball's coming out quick. Look at Josh Allen right now. He's got his eyeballs. This is where this play is going.
He's confident.
So the most important thing is, and you could say, well, he doesn't separate. It's hard to separate in the NFL. Cornerbacks are amazing athletes. But what we want is a strong, sure-handed guy that can drive his legs, because not everybody is a great tackler, right? So we get to get the ball into his hands. That's when good things happen. Drops are bad, right? And Josh, I don't know if you've noticed, a pretty good passer. So he doesn't need a huge window here. This is only about a 15-yard throw at 1 yard down the line of scrimmage. But the important thing is Keon's got his chest to Josh. He can receive the ball and flip his hips. I like it.
That's good. Super good. That's a great clip.
Where am I next, Joe? Let's see here.
Only you know.
Only I know. All right. I think we are. And I'm going to tell you that I made a mistake and I uploaded the same clip twice.
Well,
So,
I will talk for a second just about Keon Coleman if you want to upload. No, you might have to scroll down in the page, or do you have it or no?
oh no, I got it right here. Apologies, I just clicked on the wrong one again. All right, here we go. So this one I really like. Also, same game, and we're tied up. We're in the fourth quarter. It's soft coverage, right? There's I can't remember if it's that down and distance, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, somewhere around there. The beautiful thing about this, how many times have you seen a receiver head toward the marker and not get far enough and get tackled like a yard shy? And you're just like, what are you doing, right?
Yeah. You have one job. You
got one job. And what would you say to that? Typical rookie mistake, right?
Right.
Well, I'm going to show you where the rookie did it right. So he heads upfield, can't see the yard marker till now, but he gets a good 2 yards on the yard marker. Great. You know what? Now you can catch the ball and fall down. We got a first down. 3rd and 10 or 2nd and 10. I mean, that's a brilliant play right there. He puts a nice little move, right? I mean, he's not the fastest guy, but he recognizes that it's soft coverage. So if you can dip your hips a little bit, make it seem like you're going upfield, and then you can chatter down and stop and get your hips around and your shoulders, your chest to the quarterback, which he does, makes a reception, ends up with 1 or 2 extra yards, drive stays alive. We end up kicking a field goal to win this game, although we did give it back to the Jets, and we all had to do that Buffalo Bills thing versus the Jets, another damn Jets game where it goes down to the wire, but we pulled it off. That's another reason I chose this one. I didn't want to have to review a loss. So one more time for the fans out there. Keon Coleman sits down just after the yard marker and picks up the crucial first down in that drive.
So what before we Sahlen's off tackle, the Sahlen's off tackle show with John Fina talking about Keon Coleman. I know that the groups sit apart, right? I know that the offensive linemen sit on a bench by themselves. It always in lineup fashion, which I think is very funny that they have to like you guys.
Why do you
can't mix it up? It's like I got to sit next to the left guard. I can't sit next to the right guard. I can't sit in the middle. Like
that's not why they do it. They don't do it out of habit. They do it for communication. Like when I coached high school football, it's like my left tackle, my left guard, my center, and you get them lined up. So when you're talking about a particular play and you're reviewing something, the two of them can understand what's being coached, what's being represented.
Gotcha. So we're not friends in this moment and during the game. Like when we're on the bench, we're having conversations only about what we're talking. Anyways, that's not where I was going with this, even though that's really funny that just popped into my head. But have you ever overheard what are the conversations between quarterback, young wide receiver in those moments when he doesn't flatten his route? Like how are those is it different every time? Does it depend on do you find the receiver to be very much in a teach me, like, give me information, or is it more of a nonchalant? Like, is it all different? Like, I would love to know just some insight on the sideline.
Well, I think what you're going to find, especially with a guy like Josh Allen, is if he can see it and understand it as it's happening, and you don't always have that opportunity. He might have been looking downfield. He did hit the out route. If he saw Keon, going upfield, he might pull him over on the sideline and say, hey, listen, when that press kind of thing happens, you got to flatten out. I need an outlet. And It's usually very conversational, usually very uplifting. A lot of times you get the skill positions, finger quotes not included, talking to one another after they've done something like, oh man, I'm sorry, I could have done this better. There's really a true camaraderie aspect, especially when you're close, when the game is close. Now, when you're getting your butt handed to you, tempers flare a little bit. I wouldn't say you have a blame thrower out there, but guys start coming down on guys a little bit hard. If you're running the right route, if you're doing the right thing and it doesn't always work out, you always approach your teammate and say, hey, dude, how can we do this a little bit better? But if you got a guy who's just flat out running the wrong route, blocking the wrong guy, it can be quite the chemical toilet storm on the sideline.
Interestingly enough. Great job, John. talking about Keon Coleman. We'll probably spend the next couple of weeks maybe breaking down film of individual players just to kind of see what we're going to see. Any final thoughts on Keon Coleman kind of going into this season?
Yeah, I just love the fact that he's got Josh Palmer now, Elijah Moore, Curtis Samuel in that room. I think 2 reasons. He got some veteran sort of experience, a little closer in age. Amari Cooper, a little bit older. Mac Hollins, a little bit of a different guy. I think it's going to create an atmosphere of, interactive coaching among players, which is always really strong to build relationships and culture.
Mm-hmm.
But secondly, it creates pressure, right? So Keon Coleman, I think, is under quite a bit of pressure this year to really step up his game from last year, where he did have the wrist injury, understood, but the expectation for him this year to have 55 or 60 catches and climb the board to 800, 850 yards. I think if he doesn't think that's the expectation of him, then he kind of doesn't understand what we're trying to achieve here.
Right. Very good. Here on the first ever Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show, getting ready for the 2025 season. I'm going to go ahead and get us out of here if that's all right with you there, Big John.
Hey, yeah, man. And look, Joe, I'm excited to see you at MafiaCon.
Yeah.
I can't wait to be engaged with all of our Bills Mafia fanatics. So tell a friend, get on over there, see current Bills players, see what the whole event has to offer. Last year, I know, was a trial run. I'm really excited to be part of year 2.
Yep, excellent. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in and joining us here for the Sahlen's Off Tackle with John Fina show. My name is Joe Miller. Again, you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired. That guy right there is John Fina. You can find him on Twitter at John Fina. But for me, for John, for all of us here at Overreaction, we appreciate you guys. We love you. Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Talk to you guys soon. Go Bills.